Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Ultimate Rinnegan and Mokuton Naruto went back in time married Tsunade Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto was a 17-year-old boy forever burdened because of the Kyuubi sealed inside of him by the death god himself. He woke up in his mindscape. Where am I? He asked no one in particular. When he saw he was in his mindscape his first thought was, am I dead? He then started thinking back on the events that led up until now. Flashback: the Valley of the End. The Valley of the End, a place where legendary battles have taken place, battles that were so destructive that they reshaped the land such as Senju Hashirama vs Uchiha Madara or more recently Uzumaki Naruto vs Uchiha Sasuke. In the moonlight you could see two silhouettes standing on two different statues. The two figures could be identified as Naruto and Sasuke. Both were once as close as brothers whether they showed it or not, but now they were to the point of being a replay of Hashirama and Madara. Naruto was standing on the head of the Senju Hashirama statue while Sasuke was standing on the head of the Uchiha Madara, his Sharingan spinning wildly into the Ain no Mangekyo Sharingan, spelling. Sasuke, why are you doing this? Tell me, Naruto asked while staring into the six-pointed star. I thought it was obvious. I am helping Madara release the Jubi so that he can bring peace to the world, a world where Itachi is still alive, but I guess I also thought you would have been smart enough to not stare into my eyes. Looks like I was wrong about that too, Dobi, said Sasuke with a cold smirk. Tsukuyomi, he thought as the sky turned cloudy and the moon became red. Naruto realizing that he had been trapped in the genjutsu and screamed, but a peace where everyone is nothing but a isn't true peace, as he released a ridiculous amount of chakra releasing the jutsu. Shut up, Dobi, what the hell would you know about true peace, said an enraged Sasuke as he charged a Raikiri. I know because I have been through suffering and I understand other people's pain, shouted a teary-eyed Naruto as he charged a Rasengan. Naruto! Bellowed Sasuke as he jumped. Sasuke! Screamed Naruto as he jumped to meet him. When they clashed they literally tore the land to pieces, but then something weird happened to Naruto. His eyes started burning and he felt his chakra slowly drain in minuscule amounts going towards his eyes, but he kept going and his shoved itself into Sasuke's chest just above his heart in his subclavian, killing him instantly. That was when he blacked out. However, he had never noticed the genjutsu cast over him by the Kyuubi. Well, Gaki, looks like you will do great things. I just hope they're for the better. Kyuubi thought as he trailed off and went to sleep. Flashback end. He couldn't stop his tears from falling at the thought of the memory, but that was when he remembered where he was as just moments ago when Madara released the Jubi, from the Jubi being sealed into him to when they had fought to his little talk with Kami. Flashback. Jubi released. What will you do now, Uzumaki Naruto? My plan is finally complete. All that I need to do is absorb the Jubi and Project Tasuki no Mi shall begin a new era of peace that will never leave. Ha 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 ha, cackled Madara. I need to find a way to stop this fast. Wait a minute, the JJ Jubi being absorbed into ME. Thought a shocked Naruto as silver chakra surrounded his body. What the hell is happening? What are you doing, Uzumaki? Shouted a horrified and furious Madara. Then his eyes started to burn again, and as the Jubi was fully sealed he felt a genjutsu release. Madara saw his eyes and then froze up in terror. The eyes staring back were not sapphire blue but metallic purple with 4 rings and 9 tomo, he has the Rinnegan B, but that's not possible, and why are there tomo in the rings? Forget 9 of them. He screamed in his head. He was so focused on the Rinnegan that he never noticed Naruto started to make hand seals. Mokuton. Mokuryu no Jutsu, would release. Would dragon technique, whispered Naruto. Madara was violently brought out of his thoughts when he saw a wood dragon was racing towards him. Kamui, he said desperately, the jutsu activated just seconds before impact. He has the Mokuton too. What's next? Those tomo have given him the Sharingan's power. Why do I get the feeling that I shouldn't have thought of that, thought Madara. Naruto, who had yet to realize what he was doing, held up his hand and whispered, Susanoo. Madara was once again blown out of his thoughts as a purple almost gray-like figure emerged from Naruto, and only for the fact that Madara still had his Kamui activated he would have been killed on the spot. I knew I shouldn't have thought about the Sharingan, thought a rather annoyed Madara because that his enemy was gaining more and even more power by the second, and he knew that if he didn't kill the blonde idiot soon he would be overwhelmed and he wouldn't be able to extract the Jubi to complete Project Tasuki no Mi. Madara then summoned his own Susanoo when he noticed that Naruto's Susanoo had not 2 or even 3 but 4 arms. Shocked with this and every other discovery that the blonde was showing him, he knew that the boy was mere minutes away from killing him if he didn't do something fast, so in a desperate attempt he held up his arms and chanted, "Burn all evil and leave no ashes. Arise to my command the flames of Amaterasu," he said in the hopes of killing the boy through his Susanoo. However, to his surprise the boy simply shouted, "Shinra Tensei Almighty Push," and the supposed unextinguishable flames were turned to nothing more than cinders. What he didn't know was that the boy himself was unconscious while he was fighting someone else. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto woke up in his mindscape. He was confused. How did I end up in my mindscape? Was his primary thought, and then he could hear something, a small voice in his head calling him to it, or as it sounded her. He then started thinking about his battle with Madara. Did Madara defeat him? No, he could still feel his chakra being in constant use, but who was using it, was the question running through his mind. It wasn't Kurama, as he could not feel the Kitsune's presence, but that would mean he was dead. Then he remembered, I absorbed the Jubi, that will take a while to get used to saying, he thought weakly. Sigh, well, I might as well go and find out who's in my mindscape this time, he said tiredly. He slowly made his way to the cage seal that contained Kurama, or rather used to contain. When he got there, though, he didn't expect to see 2 women arguing. He started walking towards them when he heard that they were talking about something dangerous. Quote, know how dangerous that can be, said the woman within the cage. Yes, I do know, but I invented it, so no, it won't go wrong, claimed the other woman before continuing, stating, it seems that our guest of honor has arrived, and she turned around to face the boy. Excuse me, but exactly who are you 2 and why are you in my mindscape? Asked a confused but cautious Naruto. Well, the answer to your stupid little question is that, I am Kami, and this is Akira-chan, or the Jubi in human form, explained the woman who is now identified Kami. Wait, Kami, said Naruto, yes, and I am here to tell you of your new powers, said Kami. What new powers? Asked Naruto, confused but wary. Where to begin? Started Kami. Oh, just tell the Gaki and get it over with, scowled the Jubi, or Akira as she is now known as, obviously annoyed. Well, when you absorbed Akira here you gained the Jubigan, or better known as the Mangekyo Rinnegan, which can do everything that the Rinnegan and Mangekyo Sharingan can do, but you won't go blind, and you also gained the ability to use all sub-elements including Mokuton, Shoton, Maiden and Jinten, and I have given you the ability to create Kekkei Genkai and give them to other people, stated Kami, slowing down near the end to let everything sink in. He will only be able to give ones like the 4 I mentioned, not like the dust release. Naruto, who had long since gone wide-eyed and started gaping like a fish, closed his mouth and calmed himself before he screamed, What? Not so loud, Baka, shouted Akira. Not so loud? How do you expect me to react? Say, oh, is that all? And just walk away, shouted Naruto in a softer but still loud voice. Yes, well, I am afraid to inform you, but while my sister Yami will no doubt beat Madara quickly, it is too late to save everyone, so I have come here to send you back in time, stated Kami. At first Naruto thought, so that's who's controlling me. When he realized, wait, what do you mean send me back in time? He asked warily. Akira's face faltered and she said, isn't it obvious we're sending you back in time so you can prepare for Madara, even kill him if you go back far enough? Before you start shouting about, what do you mean if I go back far enough? You will be sent back 50 to 53 years, around the time of the Densetsu no Sannin. Kami then stated, yes, you will have the chance to help the Sannin, you could stop Orochimaru from becoming a sadistic jutsu-craving pedophile or help Jiraiya become strong enough to defeat Nagato should it arise again or even help Tsunade by saving her brother Nawaki, maybe even have her fall for you, said Kami while giggling. Naruto blushed furiously. What do you mean ff fall f for me, he said stuttering. Oh, just fall in love with you. You'd be the perfect man for her, you know, said Kami while Naruto if possible just turned a deeper shade of red. Meanwhile Akira was ready to burst out laughing at the boy's situation but instead said, don't worry Gaki, chances are more than likely that you'll do something to make her fall for you, and I should mention that you'll be in a small child's body depending on when you will be 6 months older than Tsunade, a little bit too young to be in the year ahead of them but the oldest in your class at the academy, Akira said starting teasingly but honest in the end. Meanwhile with Madara and Yami. What the hell are you? Roared Madara. Sorry to tell you but Naruto-kun isn't here right now but since you want to know so badly my name is Yami, Goddess of Darkness, stated Yami to the utter disbelief of Madara. What the hell are the gods getting in the way of my plans for? Madara practically screeched but was cut off by Yami. You were not meant to interfere with the boy in the first place, everything was meant to end with Nagato but no. Instead you had to interfere, she said with malice in her voice. But we might as well finish this. Seeing as how this dimension won't even exist in a few minutes, she said mumbling the last part. Damn it, at this rate Project Tsuki no Mi will be prolonged even further, that is if this worthless excuse of a god manages to make a miracle and bet me. He thought before continuing the thought with a chuckle. What am I thinking, even with a miracle she can't beat me, before saying, yes, let me show everyone that it's you worthless excuses of gods that are the reason we suffer so much. However this only proved to be lethal, she screamed. Mokuton. Jubaku iso no jutsu, would release. Tree bind flourishing burial. Madara only got the chance to dodge because his Sharingan saw it but didn't get a chance to counter as Yami roared. Mokuton. Mokujin no jutsu, would release. Wood golem technique, and then a huge golem burst out of the deity-possessed boy and punched him sending him 40 feet back. Sorry, forgot to mention that while Naruto was talking to Kami, Madara's Susanoo deactivated. Again sorry. Madara stood shakily before using the tiger seal and saying, Kaden. Goryuka no jutsu, fire release great fire dragon technique, but it was not to be as Yami said. Mokuton. Mokujoheki, would release wood locking wall, and a large wooden half-dome stopped the dragon in its tracks. Madara however was infuriated and made a different seal this time shouting, Kaden. Mekyaku no jutsu, fire release great fire annihilation, trying to burn down the dome. I will not be beaten by some lame excuse of a deity. He thought as he took his gunbai off his back and violently swung it whispering, gunbai fanned wind, and the dome finally collapsed. He smirked thinking the goddess-possessed boy had been crushed, but it was short-lived as Yami suddenly appeared behind him and yelled, Udama Rasengan, giant spiraling sphere, shoving the giant sphere into his back. Back with Naruto. Are there any more surprises you want to tell me before I faint? Naruto asked after regaining his bearings. Well, there is the possibility of you having the paper Keke Genkai that the blue-haired girl whom was with Nagato had, but I'm not sure about that one, said Akira, but by now something that normally would have shocked Naruto no longer did. When I said godlike Naruto, I meant it. Oh, and there will be some other changes. Some are set in stone, like Hashirama didn't give the Biju away to the other villages, or that Tsunade will contain one of the Biju, and random things like which one she will contain, as we can only alter so much with this ritual, Kami said before continuing, well Naruto-kun, we had better get the ritual started. When they had the ritual set up, Akira and Kami started chanting words that Naruto could only guess as an ancient language. Suddenly, in a brilliant flash of light, everything outside the seal faded into darkness. Flashback end. After remembering that, he could hear voices. Probably the medics. He thought, well, might as well contact Akira and find out about this, but that wasn't to be as he practically felt her push him out with a whisper of, later Gaki. He's waking up, said an astounded medic shinobi. What, but that's impossible, he should be in a coma from the state we found him in, proclaimed another medic before she went outside. Anbu, get Hokage-sama, tell him the boy has miraculously awoken, she told one of the Anbu guarding the door. Naruto started regaining his bearings as his vision was still blurry, but he was able to see that someone was in front of him talking to him. He had finally regained his vision and hearing to see a woman with blonde hair that kind of looked like his saying, "Are you alright, child?" He was about to say that he wasn't a child when he remembered that he had been sent to the past and physically was probably only a 4 or 5 years old. He pretended that he didn't hear her and said, "Excuse me, but could you repeat that?" His voice, although he knew he was young, sounded higher than he thought it would be, but it also held innocence. So the woman repeated, "I said, are you alright, child?" "Yeah, but where am I?" asked Naruto. Seeing that he was able to see and hear her properly, she smiled and replied, "You're in Konohagakure's hospital, the emergency room to be exact, as you should be in a coma. My name is Tsukiko, Nakamura Tsukiko. What's yours?" she asked, but Naruto just said, "I would rather wait until Hokage-sama gets here." With Hashirama. Hashirama was at his desk doing paperwork, the one thing he could never beat. Although both he and his brother are in power as Hokages of Konoha, he was the one who had to sign the paperwork, much to his displeasure. Thankfully, one of his Anbu came in to distract him from the ever-present Bane. He looked at the Anbu and simply said, "Report," to which the Anbu replied, "Hokage-sama, the boy who was supposed to be in a coma has miraculously woken up." The utter disbelief on Hashirama's face told that he was thinking, how can this boy, who when we found him was bruised, battered and in a comatose state, suddenly just wake up? "Very well, go back to your position, I'll be there in a second," he replied, and with that the Anbu left. Hashirama knew that this boy was different when he found him, but this just blew him away. "Well, child, what's your story?" he thought, and with that left for the hospital. Back with Naruto. Naruto and Tsukiko were waiting for Hashirama to arrive when they heard a knock on the door. It opened to show the Shodai Hokage. Naruto, although had a straight face on the inside he was awestruck. Here was a man who had been feared throughout the shinobi nations and the first man to be praised as the Kami no Shinobi since the Raikudo Sennin. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when Hashirama spoke up. "You gave us quite the scare, little one. Tell me, who are you and why were you so beaten up?" he asked, only for Naruto to reply, "I'm afraid you'll have to get a Yamanaka to confirm the story that I have for you, and you might want to get your brother to save doing this twice," which had shocked Hashirama greatly, but nevertheless he asked the Anbu to go get Tobirama and Isamu Yamanaka. When the two arrived, the four were able to begin. Hashirama forgot about Tsukiko. "Alright, now that everyone is here, Isamu, would you like to confirm this boy's story?" he said. Isamu was confused as to the reason he was called to interrogate a mere child, but said nothing. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki." And he then started to explain his story from the start of the Fourth Great Shinobi War right up to his fight with Madara, and when Isamu was asked to verify the claims, they were true every time. It would have been too long to write, and the two brothers were positively shocked. This boy, who was apparently from the future and was really 17 years old, was telling the truth. Tsukiko, whom everyone had forgotten, had nearly fainted but managed to catch herself. However, she made some noise, and that was when Hashirama remembered that he had never dismissed. Damn, now there is another person who knows this. Well, I could have her take care of him so people won't get suspicious if I or my brother adopt him, he thought before saying, "Well, that's quite the story. I'm almost convinced that it's true. All I need to do is test how strong you are." But he trailed off. Not that Naruto could blame him, as he had just been told things that before today had seemed impossible, yet a physically 4-year-old was telling him otherwise. Hashirama then turned to Tsukiko. "Well, Miss Nakamura, I think we may need to have a little talk about this," he said before leading her out. Tobirama turned to Isamu, telling him, "You are dismissed, but if any of this leaks out." He let the threat hang. "Hi Nadaime-sama," and after saying that he left via Shunshin. He then turned to Naruto and said, "Well, Mr. Uzumaki, that is a very tall tale, and even more amazing is the fact that the possibility of it being true is extremely high. Sigh, this is too crazy. I feel like I'm going insane, he said, muttering the last part just loud enough for Naruto to hear. How do you think I feel? I'm the one who not only has to get used to being in the body of a 4-year-old again, but I have to fight a man who could take on one of the lesser gods in old age and in his prime could even kill Yami and will probably do everything in his power to kill me. That was when he realized that his life was not going to get quiet, but he now knew that that will not be the case. Tobirama knew what he was thinking and he truly felt sorry for him, so he decided to change the topic. Well, I'm sure little Tsunade will enjoy being around you from what you have told us about your talk with Kami, he said in a teasing tone while Naruto just blushed crimson. Yes, well, if you don't mind, I'll be in my mindscape, he said, meditating before becoming unconscious. Tobirama then exited the room and went back to his clan's compound. With Hashirama, Hashirama led Tsukiko into his office, still thinking about this whole ordeal. Well, Ms. Nakamura, I'm sure that you're still in shock, but we need to get down to business, Hashirama said while Tsukiko could only nod dumbly. I have brought you here to decide where Naruto will be staying, and I believe that him staying at your house will be beneficial, as you have already heard what he is capable of, and I trust that you shall not reveal anything that we have been told today, he said. Hi Hokage-sama, but I do need Ryo to accommodate for the both of us, as I doubt that my wages alone will provide for us, she replied, understanding the situation the man was in. Yes, you will not need to worry about that, I will see to that task personally, but now how much am I to reveal to the damned council about this? After all, I can't just have a boy whom appeared out of nowhere to just be accepted, as they would get suspicious, Hashirama said, leaking a small amount of killing intent. This will be called Ki from now on. Well, all that we would have to do there is ask him, she said. Well, really, that's all that we can do at this point, Hashirama agreed with her before continuing. Well, might as well see how much we can reveal, and with that the Shunshin back to the hospital. Meanwhile, with Naruto and Akira, Naruto had been thinking about what he would feel towards Tsunade in this timeline. When Akira, whom was no longer caged, found him. Alright Gaki, I know what you're thinking, but right now the task of importance is how much you reveal to everyone else in the village, Akira said, but before she could, what I have to tell more people, Naruto complained. Well, maybe if you had let me explain you might already know, she chided before fully explaining. Now first of all, no, Hashirama will tell the council and the council will spread the news quickly. Anyway, Hashirama may tell them about the Juubigan, your paper release and the Mokuton, and not a damn thing more, Akira said. And don't worry Gaki, I'm sure that Tsunade will be head over heels at some point, she said teasingly. But before Naruto could reply, Akira had kicked him out again. Back in the real world, Naruto opened his eyes to hear a knock on the door. It opened to show Hashirama and Tsukiko. Well, Mr. Uzumaki, I believe that we have some business to discuss, Hashirama announced while Naruto just nodded. First of all, we have to test you, but I won't get time for that for another few hours. We also need to make sure that people don't get suspicious that a 4-year-old is just living by himself, so you'll be living with Nakamura-san here, Hashirama said. That's acceptable, but what's the real reason you're here? Naruto replied curiously. Well, he's definitely being serious, Hashirama thought in a monotone. Well, I still need to know your plan and how much you're willing to reveal about your strength, Hashirama said, grimacing about the fact that he and Tobirama would have to tell the council. Akira said that you can tell the council about the Juubigan, the paper release and the Mokuton, and I quote, not a damn thing more. And as for my plan, you shall only need to know if something doesn't go as I needed it to. Other than that, I've just been getting constant teasing about Tsunade, Naruto said with a small blush and a slight shiver going down his spine. Hashirama, knowing exactly why he was blushing, came up next to him and whispered, just don't do it too fast, as I'd rather not have a fangirl for a granddaughter, he said with a teasing smile. Naruto just turned red. Well, I will leave you two to get to know each other, and with that said he left. Tsukiko, whom never would have guessed that she'd ever be in this position, asked Naruto to start. Alright. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. My likes are ramen, training, and my friends who unfortunately aren't born yet, and my former godparents whom I'm now older than. My dislikes are arrogant brats that think just because their family is well respected that they are above everyone else, bandits or any other type of people who rape, kill and torture innocent people and traitors. My hobbies are training and eating ramen. My dream, well, I'll have to think about that one, he said, chuckling at the end. Well, Naruto, my name is Nakamura Tsukiko. My likes are medical jutsu, my boyfriend Mitarashi Akihiro, and my best friends Inuzuka Kiyomi and Uchiha Miyako. My dislikes are perverts and rapists. My hobbies are practicing my medical jutsu and shopping with Kiyomi and Miyako. My dream is to become the best medic that I can be, she said happily. What? This woman is Anko's grandmother? I did not see that coming, Naruto thought, surprised that he had not noticed as to the fact that the only difference between them was their hair and eye color. Well, you might as well come with me back to my house since you still have 2 hours to wait to fight Hashirama, she said, walking towards the door. That was when Naruto realized that there were clothes beside his bed. They didn't look too good, but he wasn't complaining. Tsukiko's house. As Naruto entered Tsukiko's house, he was amazed at how clean it was. Whoa, I'd almost swear that this place has a genjutsu placed on it. I wonder, he thought before activating his Mangekyo Rinnegan and saw that the whole house was covered in a genjutsu. So I was right, the Mangekyo Rinnegan has helped my genjutsu detection, he thought, happy with the fact that he won't be affected by genjutsu that he can't see or sense. Tsukiko then led him to his new room. Well, Naruto, this will be where you sleep until you're 18. It's not much, but I suppose it'll have to do until I can renovate the place, she told him. The room looked like a guest room with an average double bed with plain white sheets, midnight blue paint in the walls, and a few pieces of furniture for storing clothes. Well, would like me to show you around the house? She asked, but Naruto just answered, no thank you, I'm sure I'll find my way around. With Hashirama, Tobirama and the council. Hashirama rubbed his temples as he waited for the rest of the council, dreading the arguments that would follow his explanation of the boy whom he had found. His brother was just as annoyed but didn't show it openly. When the last few people had finally arrived, one woman asked, Shodai-sama, Nadaime-sama, why have we been called to this council meeting? The woman in question had pink hair with a red kimono. This woman's name was Haruno Sake. I really wanted to make Sakura get her attire from her family. Both brothers inwardly grimaced that they were the ones who had to tell the woman about Naruto. Might as well get it over with, the two thought. The reason that we have called you here is about the boy that we found not a mile from the village gates, he stated, getting the attention of everyone in the room. The boy awoke not an hour ago and we had Isamu here mind walk him and the results were truly awesome. The boy has Kekkei Genkei that have never existed before and one that I thought was only a mutation, Hashirama said while the council were on the edge of their seats. It appears that the boy has a Kekkei Genkei that controls paper, and from what Isamu has told me it has outstanding potential. Amazingly, he has attained the Mokuton and will be able to use it more efficiently than I ever have or will be. At this point the council were ready start shouting, but if the boy had Kekkei Genkei as powerful as what they have been told, then no doubt the last one will be even better. Meanwhile Haruno Sake had to bite her tongue as to not shout out when they were told. Hashirama then continued saying, however, the boy's last Kekkei Genkei almost had me faint, as it seems to be a cross between the Sharingan and the Rinnegan, the fabled eyes of the Raikudo Sennin. 3, 2, 1 foot. He thought before there was an outburst with people shouting for the boy to be put under the CRA, but the loudest person was Sake, who was almost screeching, Hokage-sama, I demand that this boy be put under the CRA with my daughter. The two brothers released their ki, making everyone freeze in fear before Tobirama said, you have no right to demand anything in your position, knowing that the boy wasn't going into a love-less marriage from what Isamu had told him. But this did not stop some people, as a few people were still saying things like, but Hokage-sama, these bloodlines would prove to be an intimidation factor against other villages, or, but Hokage-sama, this boy could produce a potent generation of shinobi, but this just made the two release more killing intent, making the last few people sit down. Now that everyone is seated and quiet, the reason is that the boy will have a choice. If he wants to do the CRA, so be it, but he should only marry girls that he loves. This council has gained too much power, and while I have ignored it, I am telling you now that the civilian side should not even be here as Kekkei Genkai or shinobi business, and as of now the civilian council shall not attend meetings for shinobi only, and before you start screaming like 2-year-olds again, you are to leave. Anyone who decides otherwise will be executed on the spot, said Hashirama with malice in his voice. The civilian council, knowing better than to stay left in a hurry. Hashirama then continued to explain to the clan heads about the boy before leaving to go back to his office, dreading the amount of paperwork waiting for him. Back in Hashirama's office, Naruto was walking towards Hashirama's office when he saw someone. Waiting outside the Shodai's office was a small girl around his physical age. She had dirty blonde hair and was dressed in a small green dress. Naruto then thought, that must be Tsunade. Wow, she was a small child, even for a 3-year-old, and he went and sat down to wait for Hashirama. Tsunade, who was wondering who the boy was as she had never seen him before, just stared, glared at him suspiciously, and was about to ask him who he was when she saw her grandfather approaching them. Tsunade then got up and ran towards him saying, Gigi, excitedly. Hello Tsunade. How's my granddaughter today? Hashirama said with a fake smile as he was too tired to be genuinely happy. I'm fine Gigi, but, she said before looking over to Naruto and whispering, who is that boy? I've never seen him before. Hashirama then noticed that Naruto was sitting there staring at them slightly before he replied, well Tsunade, that boy there is Naruto and I shall be training him, and the reason that you've never seen him before is that he is new in the village. Tsunade just pouted, thinking, well then I'll have to make sure he knows my name and gives me the respect that I deserve. Hashirama then put Tsunade down and, knowing what she was thinking, gave Naruto a bit of time to knock some sense into her, saying, I'll be with you two in a minute, I just need to take care of some private business. Tsunade then walked over to him. Hi, my name is Senju Tsunade and I'm the granddaughter of the Shodai Hokage and grandniece of the Nadaime. What's your name? She said with arrogance in her tone, but to her shock Naruto just replied, Uzumaki Naruto. She then got angry, thinking, didn't this idiot hear what I said, before asking almost the exact same thing. Naruto just looked up at her. Yes, I heard everything you said, but if you think that I'm just going to respect you because of who your grandfather is, then you are sadly mistaken, he said in a monotone-like voice. This just made Tsunade angrier when she replied, oh shut up peasant, you should be kissing the ground I walk on in respect, but she didn't get any further as Naruto just glared at her coldly. Respect is earned, not given, he said coldly before continuing, just because you're the granddaughter of the Shodai doesn't mean you'll last a day outside the village gates. He was hoping she would take the challenge just so he could prove it to her. Oh really? She said before leaving. Hashirama then came back out after listening to the whole thing and was about to ask Naruto to go after her, but he was beat to it when Naruto said, don't worry, I got her. And he left. Hashirama then closed the door, thinking, sorry Tsunade, but you need to learn about the real world and fast. He then turned back to his desk and cried anime tears when he saw that it was about to collapse from the sheer weight of the paper. With Naruto. Naruto had been following Tsunade from the trees ever since she left the village gates. They had passed the Anbu patrol a little while ago, but Naruto was worried about her, as even though she was only 3 here, he could still see his Ba-chan in the girl. Naruto then felt even more worried as he activated his Jubigan. Oh great, 5 people heading towards her, 4 Anbu level and Shida Cage level. Looks like I'll need to use a few strong techniques to get the both of us out of this. Well, guess my cover was only going to last so long. Tsunade meanwhile was thinking. Humph, couldn't last a day out here, who does he think he is? I'm a Senju, only the Uchiha can give us a good fight. She stopped when she saw 5 figures drop from the trees. Well boys, look what we have here. It's the Senju heiress, the giant man in the middle said, smirking. Tsunade for the first time in her life was truly terrified. Maybe that boy was right, she thought as she saw the man throw a kunai at he. She closed her eyes and waited for the impact. When she didn't feel anything, she opened her eyes and what she saw shocked her. That's the boy F from earlier. She couldn't believe it, the boy that she was yelling at earlier had just saved her life. Naruto then looked closely at the man when he realized, this is the Sandaime Raikage. Told you that you wouldn't survive a day out here, Naruto said, turning to her slightly. The man who had recently been elected Raikage not long ago was shocked that Naruto had stopped his kunai. He then turned to his teammates. Storm, deal with this pest. Hi Raikage-sama, the four replied and then went through a series of hand seals. Raiden. Raryu no Jutsu, lightning release, lightning dragon technique, the four shouted. Naruto said, Futen. Daitapa, and the four attacks were sent right back. The Raikage was in shock. 4 of my strongest storm killed by a 4-year-old, this kid is no joke, he thought. You know what, kid, I'm going enjoy killing you just for that, he said in an infuriated voice. Raiden no Yoroi, he said, and his body was covered in blue lightning, while Naruto just launched 4 kunai around the man. Ha, sorry boy, but your aim is horrendous, the Raikage mocked. Naruto smirked and said, wasn't aiming for you. Gofu Kekai, and the Raikage saw the seals on it but was just able to get out. Damn, the kid knows Fuinjutsu too, I'll have to kill him fast, he thought as he readied his black lightning to strike the boy down. Naruto just held his arm up. Bansho 10, he said, and suddenly the Raikage felt himself being pulled towards the boy before, Shinra Tensei, and he was launched through trees and boulders. As he stood up he thought, forget killing him, I can't even hit him. I'll need his name so I can put this kid in the bingo book before I flee, I can't have more of my shinobi being killed by this brat. What's your name, boy? He asked, hopeful of getting the boy's full name. Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto, he said, guessing that the Raikage was going to put him in the bingo book, either that or add him to his to kill list. The Raikage's eyes widened before he fled in a flash of lightning. Naruto turned back to Tsunade but was met by a bone-crushing hug with her head in his collarbone. When she asked him why he saved her, I knew you would try something like this and I just didn't have the heart to let you come back crying, he replied softly with a warm smile. Tsunade, realizing how tired she was, fell asleep. Naruto, feeling that the girl earned it, put 2 of his fingers to her forehead and channeled his Mokuton chakra into her, giving her the ability to unlock the Mokuton. Well, better get back to the village, and with that thought he left. Previously, Naruto turned back to Tsunade but was met by a bone-crushing hug with her head in his collarbone. When she asked him why he saved her, I knew you would try something like this and I just didn't have the heart to let you come back crying, he replied softly with a warm smile. Tsunade, realizing how tired she was, fell asleep. Naruto, feeling that the girl had earned it, put 2 of his fingers to the girl's forehead and channeled his Mokuton chakra into her, giving her the ability to unlock the Mokuton. Well, better get back to the village, and with that thought he left. Now, when Naruto got back to the village gates, both he and Tsunade were rushed to the hospital. Not that they really needed treatment since both were Jinchuriki. Oh yeah, I must find out what biju she contains, he thought curiously. He was so lost in thought about it that he didn't notice Hashirama walk in. Hashirama meanwhile was lost in his own thoughts. Finding someone to train these 2 won't be easy. Besides me, Tobarama or Saru-kun, there aren't many who could give them the rigorous training they'll need, well, that Tsunade will need anyway. Well, I'd better get the report from Naruto. When he did get the report, however, he was shocked that his granddaughter was almost captured by the new Raikage, and even more so that Naruto had beaten him so easily, something he wouldn't be able to do at his current age. Tsunade then began to stir awake and tiredly looked around. Seeing her grandfather and Naruto staring at her made her remember the night before. Naruto saved me, even when I was trying to force him to respect me, he put it behind him and smiled while saving me. Could he be? No, Ba-chan says I'm too young for that. But he is kind of cute, she thought with a blush. I'm no good with child talk, so I just made her a bit more mature for her age. Hashirama saw this but ignored it and put a stern look on his face. Tsunade Hime, do you mind telling me exactly why you left the village? Hashirama said sternly. Tsunade looked down. I wanted to show Naruto that I could survive on my own outside the village gates and I wandered too far, she replied, ashamed of herself. Well, at least she's telling the truth, he thought while rubbing his temples. Tsunade, do you know how much danger you were in even just stepping out of the village gates? Well, do you? Hashirama asked her while scowling. Tsunade just looked down again thinking she was going to be punished, but to her surprise Hashirama said nothing, so she looked back up and saw both Naruto and her grandfather were grinning slightly and was about to ask them what they were grinning at, but Naruto cut her off. Tsunade, Hashirama was listening to our conversation and already knew why you left, Naruto said before Hashirama continued. I just wanted to see if you would lie or try to get Naruto in trouble for it. While I didn't expect the Sandame Raikage to show up, there was a squad of Anbu ready to be dispatched after a certain amount of time passed to search for you too. Tsunade was in awe that the man Naruto had beaten so easily was a man who had killed countless shinobi and was the leader of Kumo, the Uzumaki clan's biggest threat next to Iwa. Hashirama, seeing that his granddaughter was at a loss for words, decided to continue telling her, but after an event like that I'm going to have to train the both of you. It took Tsunade a moment to process this when she realized that after her constant nagging to her grandfather to train her, she had finally gotten her wish. And it only took nearly getting myself killed for him to train me, she thought, chuckling. And I'll get to spend more time with Naruto to get to know him, she thought, but was able to hide her blush this time. Thanks, Gigi, she replied with her voice filled with excitement. Hashirama just smiled at her and said, which means real training, rigorous and not academy training. While Tsunade thought nothing of it, Naruto knew that the man wasn't kidding and wasn't looking forward to the man's torture. Hashirama then turned to leave before he turned to the two children. Come to my office at around 8 a.m. to start training in Naruto. Don't be late, he said before walking out. That evening, Naruto was walking back to Tsukiko's house after he was allowed to leave the hospital, but he felt like something was off. He started looking around trying to find something suspicious, and when he saw nothing he used his chakra to sense for anyone following him. What he felt though wasn't what he expected. There was a small chakra signature on the wall in front of him. He guessed that either someone was able to hide their chakra really well or they were just around his age physically. When he got close enough, he threw a kunai as slow as he could as not to hurt whoever was hiding, and the person that came out was the last person he expected. The boy had white hair that was almost as wild and unruly as his, and you could see the ninja wire his hands just because of the quantity. Whoa, this must be Jiraiya, and by the amount of wire in his hands he must have been trying to prank me. Jiraiya, who had a trap set up so he could prank the new kid, was surprised that he had been caught. Who the hell is this guy? Only Anbu can detect me and even they struggle, he thought. Why were you trying to prank me, and better yet, who are you? Naruto said as not to raise the boy's suspicion. I am no by many names, but you can call me the gallant Jiraiya, Jiraiya proclaimed while Naruto's face faltered. He's still doing the same thing he did as a 3-year-old. Now I'd like to know how you were able to find me when even some Anbu have a hard time finding me, Jiraiya said curiously. Then those Anbu weren't censor nin, because if they were they would find you easily, Naruto replied as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Well then how do I avoid them? Jiraiya asked curiously. Go to the library and look for a book on chakra and look for the chapter for how to mask it, Naruto said, slightly annoyed that his godfather, or rather former godfather, asked so many stupid questions. Now if you don't mind, I need to get home, he said. Is the house really his? Tsukiko's house. Naruto entered Tsukiko's house only to hear someone moaning. He walked upstairs and saw that the door to Tsukiko's room was wide open and saw Tsukiko with a man with purple hair on top of her and her passionately. Probably her boyfriend, he thought. When Tsukiko turned her head and saw Naruto, she jumped surprised. Her boyfriend, Akihiro, Wondering why she jumped, suddenly looked to his side and saw Naruto, and his first thought was, shit, that must be the kid she was talking about. How will we explain this? However, what Naruto said next confused him greatly. Well, Tsukiko, I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. This kid just caught us about to have and he acts like it's normal for him. Tsukiko-chan, you have some explaining to do, he thought, still confused. Naruto didn't give her a chance to answer. I'll be in my bed if you need me, he said, leaving the couple alone. Akihiro looked at Tsukiko. Anything you want to tell me about what just happened? He asked. Well, you see, before Naruto came to Konoha, his now deceased parents trained him to be a shinobi, but they had developed a technique like the Uchiha's technique, Tsukuyomi, and they managed to keep him there so long that mentally he's 17, she explained, shocking Akihiro even more. To think that a 4-year-old knows everything about what we were doing, yeah, that sounds weird just thinking it, he thought. The next day, Naruto had gotten up early so he could train with Hashirama, and though he wasn't looking forward to the man's torture, he was excited. When he got there, he saw Tobirama waiting outside the door. Hello, Naruto-san, he said ever stoically. Hello, Tobirama-san, is there something you need? Naruto replied. Actually, I came to show you and my brother this, he said, holding up a bingo book. Naruto looked at him and took it and saw that one of the page corners was folded over and looked at the page. What he saw shocked him. Name: Uzumaki Naruto. Age: 4 to 5 years. Rank: SS, Flea on site. Hair color: blonde. Affiliation: Konohagakure no Sato. Skills: Taijutsu, unknown. Genjutsu, unknown. Fuinjutsu, Jonin level, info limited. Ninjutsu, Kage level. Side note: he has a dojutsu that lets him control gravity. Note: do not underestimate him just because he is 4'5". This kid faced the Sandaime Raikage and had beaten him easily. Dojutsu description: metallic purple with 4 rings and 3 tomo on the first 3 rings. Thought to be a cross between the Sharingan and the Rinnegan, the legendary eyes of the Raikudo Sennin. Bounty: Kumo, 13,750,000 Ryo dead, 15 million Ryo alive. Naruto looked back at Tobirama and asked him, am I really that popular? Tobirama chuckled slightly. Apparently so, he said. He then looked up to see Hashirama and Tsunade approaching them. You might want to take a look at the bingo book in Naruto's hands, brother. It is rather interesting, Tobirama said to his brother. Naruto gave the book to him and the man's eyes seemed to grow bigger every second. Hashirama took a deep breath and then looked at Naruto. You're more trouble than you're worth, Naruto. You're here not 2 days and you go off and put yourself in the bingo book as an SS class shinobi, he said, groaning slightly. Tsunade meanwhile looked at Naruto wide-eyed. SS class, Naruto, really, how many more surprises are you going to come up with, she thought. Hashirama then sighed. Well, Naruto, we had better get to unlocking Tsunade-chan's chakra before we do anything else. Follow me to training ground 7 inches, he said. Tsunade ran ahead, but Naruto spoke to Hashirama. You know that when she tries this, she'll meet the Kyuubi. I could help her with him. Hashirama thought about this and said, yes, go ahead. Training ground 7. Tsunade was waiting for Naruto and her grandfather, but something was off about her. She could hear whispers in her head. Maybe Gigi will know what they are, she thought musingly. When she was brought out of her thoughts, Naruto and Hashirama were approaching her. Alright, first things first, Tsunade-chan, we need to unlock your chakra, he said, and then showed her how to do it. When she had difficulty the first time, Hashirama took this as an excuse for Naruto to enter her mind, which she reluctantly let him do. Naruto the channeled Akira's chakra into her and both became unconscious. Tsunade's mindscape. Tsunade and Naruto opened their eyes, and while Naruto had already experienced this, Tsunade was ecstatic. Whoa, so this is what my mindscape looks like. This is awesome, she said when she looked at Naruto. He was taller and looked more mature. What the hell happened to you? You look like a teenager, she yelled, confused. Our physical bodies have no real meaning in here, and since I'm mentally 17, this is what I'll look like in here for now till I age again, he said, explaining how the mindscape works. Follow me, I think I know why you can't unlock chakra that fast, he said, bringing her down to the seal on her stomach. When Tsunade saw a huge gate, she was wondering what was behind it when she realized, whatever is behind here is sealed inside of me. When they got there, Tsunade was in for a surprise. So my jailer has finally decided to pay me a visit. I'm flattered, said a deep growling voice. Hello, Kyuubi, Naruto said. When Tsunade heard this, she almost wanted to cry. The Kyuubi, but Gigi captured and sealed him away. Into me, she thought, coming to a realization. So there are still mortals not scared of me. I'll have to fix that, he said, and went to swipe at the two. Tsunade closed her eyes waiting for the impact, but when none came, she opened them. What she saw was a giant red gate holding the Kyuubi's paw in place. Senpo. Maya-Yinman, Naruto said with a slight smirk. Kyuubi was infuriated. How can this boy use the technique without an handseals, he thought. Naruto then quickly asked Akira. Hey Akira-chan, can you come out here? To which she answered, sure Naruto-kun. Now Kurama, that wasn't a very nice thing to do, a woman's voice rang through everyone's ears. No, it can't be her. She's meant to be sealed in the moon, Kurama thought desperately. Tsunade turned to see a woman about Naruto's height with silver hair and a slim body. Wow, who the hell is this and how did she even get in here? Naruto turned to the woman and said, hello Akira-chan, it's nice to see you again. You can't be the Juubi. She was sealed in the moon centuries ago, Kyuubi roared. Jubi, but I thought they only went up to Kyuubi. Is she sealed inside me or Naruto? Tsunade wondered curiously. Akira just smirked and turned into a giant 10-tailed wolf. Does this take away your doubts? She said before turning back into her human form. Since you're so curious, Kami-chan had me sealed into Naruto-kun here, Akira explained. Now be a good boy and stop messing with this girl's chakra, she said, smiling too sweetly for even Naruto's liking. Kyuubi just grumbled and went to sleep. Well Naruto-kun, my job is done here, good night, she said before vanishing. Naruto then led Tsunade back to her mindscape. Looking at her every now and then, Naruto noticed that she never looked up since they left Kurama. Hey Tsunade, are you alright? He asked, concerned for the girl. Yeah, she said, barely more than a whisper. Naruto, however, wasn't satisfied. Tsunade-chan, come on, tell me what's wrong, he said, though he already had a good guess what was wrong. Naruto, am I a demon too? She asked, not looking up. Naruto released a minuscule amount of Ki, just enough for her to stop and look at him. Tsunade-chan, you're not a demon, so don't you dare even think that, he said sternly. But the Kyuubi is sealed in me, she stuttered. That doesn't matter. Listen, if you pour water into a glass, does the glass become the water? He said. She looked at him strangely. No, that sounds stupid, she said. Well then think of it like this, you're the glass and the Kyuubi is the water. You are merely the container, he said with a smile on his face. She then smiled at him. Thank you Naruto, she said just loud enough for him to hear her. No problem Tsunade-chan, he said, and then knelt and hugged her. In his arms Tsunade felt safe and protected, and she didn't want him to let go, but she knew they had to return to her grandfather eventually. Naruto got up and told her close her eyes, and he put his fingers on her forehead, took them out of her mindscape. Real world. Hashirama was patiently waiting for the two to come out of Tsunade's mindscape, but he was worried. Will she understand why I didn't tell her? Will she forgive me? Were just a few of the thoughts going through his head. Naruto started moving and Hashirama looked at him in anticipation. Tsunade then stirred and Hashirama looked at her with worry. His worries vanished when Tsunade smiled at him. She understands, he thought happily. Well Naruto, how was it? He asked. Naruto told him everything and Hashirama was deeply shocked about the story. I seem to be shocked a lot lately, he thought tiredly. Well, Tsunade-chan, why don't you try again? He said. She nodded and then tried to unlock her chakra again, only this time she felt a warm feeling encourse her body. I done it, she exclaimed happily. Well then let's get started, Hashirama said smiling. Hashirama was waiting for the two to come out of Tsunade's mindscape, but he was worried. Will she understand why I didn't tell her? Will she forgive me? Were just a few thoughts going through his head. Naruto started moving and Hashirama looked at him in anticipation. Tsunade then stirred and Hashirama looked at her with worry. His worries soon vanished when Tsunade smiles at him. She understands, he thought happily. Well, Naruto, how was it? He asked. Naruto told him everything and Hashirama was deeply shocked about the story. I seem to be shocked a lot lately, he thought tiredly. Well, Tsunade-chan, why don't you try again? He said. She nodded and tried to unlock her chakra again, only this time she felt a warm feeling course through her body. I done it, she exclaimed happily. Well then let's get started, Hashirama said smiling. Now, 2 months later. Naruto woke up, his muscles still sore from training with the Shodai Hokage Hashirama. Even after 2 months I'm still not used to this body, he thought annoyed. Still, this training is tougher than training on Island Turtle, so to be able to do this in such an unfamiliar body is impressive, he thought. Naruto had learned a lot in the past 2 months. He had also gotten to know Tsunade better, and much to his surprise she was already trying to become a medic and had even asked Tsukiko if she could help her with it. In these 2 months Jiraiya had already tried to prank him 53 times and he was growing annoyed with the boy's determination. Now I know how the village felt with all the pranks I used to do, he thought, rubbing his temples as he got dressed. I had better get to training ground 7 before Tsunade eats my head off about being late again, he said, remembering when he was late in the first week. She still hasn't stopped berating me. I don't know what she's so worked up about. I mean, I was only 5 minutes late, he thought. After that incident he just put a Hiraishin Kunai there so he'll never have to deal with being late again. He then Hiraishin to training ground 7. Training ground 7. Tsunade was sitting next to the fence at training ground 7 waiting for Naruto and her grandfather, thinking about the past 2 months of training with her grandfather and her crush on Naruto. I've talked to Ba-chan about, but all she tells me is that I'll know when I'm older, but I can't wait that long. This is driving me crazy. She was so lost in thought that she didn't notice Naruto appear in a flash of yellow light. Naruto, seeing that she was lost in thought, decided to scare her out of it. He proceeded to creep up behind her and put both his hands on her shoulders. Tsunade jumped with a yelp before turning around to see Naruto laughing on at her. You should have heard yourself, he managed to say in between his laughs. He was then silenced by a huge hammer-like fist hitting his skull. Hey, that hurt, Tsunade-chan. I was just keeping you alert, he said, rubbing his head. Tsunade just glared at him and turned her head. What? Giving me the silent treatment now? Naruto asked. Tsunade didn't answer. Naruto then ducked a punch from behind thanks to a kind of sixth sense from fighting in a war and jumped out of the way. The Tsunade that was in front of him disappeared in a puff of smoke. She used a shadow clone to try and hit me twice. Not bad, Tsunade, he thought, impressed with the way she had used her shadow clone. Then when the other Tsunade went up in smoke, his eyes widened and he looked up to see her falling towards him, fist poised to strike. At the last moment he used Kawarimi to switch with a log. Tsunade was about to attack him again when she heard someone chuckling. She looked to her right to see her grandfather standing next to the fence. Well, you two seem very eager to start training today. You even start before I arrive, he said in an amused tone. He started it, Tsunade said, pouting. Hashirama just laughed at his granddaughter's antics. Alright, that's enough trying to kill Naruto for today, he said, but still knowing that eventually, Naruto would get another few bonks on the head. Now first of all it's time to increase your weights again, he said. But they're already at 50 pounds, Tsunade complained. Oh, so you like me to not just raise them but double them, Hashirama said with a sickly sweet smile. Nope, I'm good with raising them a small bit, Tsunade said, sweating slightly at the thought of trying to even stand with 100 pounds on each of her limbs. Hashirama just smiled at her, and while Tsunade thought nothing of it, but Naruto knew better. He's up to something, and if that smile says anything, it promises torture, he thought, eyeing Hashirama. Tsunade-chan, I don't remember saying I'd increase the weight by a small bit, he said, grinning madly. Yep, there's the torture. Well, for her anyway, Naruto thought, feeling sorry for the girl. Tsunade looked up at her grandfather nervously. What do YYUM mean? She asked frightfully. Hashirama smiled again. Oh, nothing in particular. Just that while you won't be wearing 100 pounds, you will be wearing 90 pounds, he said innocently. It took Tsunade a moment to process this, but when she did, she turned a sickly white. Wow, she's even paler than Orochimaru, Naruto thought, slightly amused. Now then, who want to go first? Hashirama said. Naruto stepped forward. Might as well get it over with, he said stoically. When Hashirama added the 40 pounds, he almost dropped at the sudden increase of weight, but regained his balance and adjusted to the pressure. Damn this body, I'm still not used to it, Naruto thought, annoyed. When Tsunade saw that he only nearly fell, she thought, maybe it's not as heavy as I thought. When Hashirama added 40 pounds to her weights, however, she fell to her knees almost instantly. Looks like I stand corrected. Damn, how the hell can Naruto stand up with this weight, she thought while lightly panting. Now that that's done, how about a little spar, Hashirama said. Tsunade looked at him like he was crazy while Naruto smirked weakly and nodded. Great. I'll give you 5 minutes to adjust and then we'll fight, he said. Tsunade tried standing up, but her legs weren't strong enough and she fell forward again. Naruto was trying to get used to walking around with his extra weight, gradually walking faster. He looked over to see Tsunade fall back on her knees and came to a realization. Why would he give us time to get used to the weight now when he didn't give us any those other times, unless he wants us to work together? He walked over to her, and just as she was about to fall back down, he caught her. When Tsunade felt a pair of arms catch her, she almost yelped in surprise. She looked up to see Naruto holding her up and her cheeks tinged red. Need help? He asked, smiling. Sigh, yeah, I suppose I do, she said, chuckling. In one of the trees, Hashirama was watching the two with a smile on his face. So you figured it out, and in only 15 seconds, not bad, Naruto, not bad at all, he thought, impressed. Naruto lifted Tsunade back up and helped her walk. She only got a few steps before she fell back down again, and Naruto caught her again. When the 5 minutes passed, both could jog at best and were helping each other along. Hashirama jumped down to the two, smiling again. Well done, you two. I'm glad you realized that you would only be able to do this if you worked together, but I'm surprised it took such a short amount of time. Now about that spar, he said, grinning at the two. This spar shall be in taijutsu only, so no Kekkei Genkei, Naruto, he said. Tsunade meanwhile was lost in thought, but only far enough so that she could still hear her grandfather's words. Naruto realized that we had to work together. While I thought he was just being a good friend, I really have to pay more attention, she thought, finally realizing how her grandfather had gotten them to work together. Well, come at me, Hashirama exclaimed, snapping Tsunade out of her daze. Naruto was waiting for Tsunade to get into her stance, and when she did, they both attacked Hashirama. While Naruto tried to catch him off guard with combos, kicks and punches, Tsunade was trying to overwhelm him with powerful strikes to his nerves, using her weights to work with gravity. Naruto's hands were suddenly covered in chakra. Tsunade was confused since her grandfather said taijutsu only. Naruto smirked and said, Hin no jutsu, and proceeded to attack Hashirama. Smart. The Hin is classified as a taijutsu, he thought. That was a smart move, Naruto, and Tsunade. If you're confused, the Hin is classified as taijutsu, he explained to the girl, seeing the questioning look on her face. They then proceeded to attack Hashirama, and while he was only really dodging and blocking, even that was becoming increasingly difficult as the two got used to the extra weight. Eventually they started getting more hits until he couldn't just dodge anymore and he started to try and counter them, but when he would try to counter one, the other would get a big hit, mainly at his rib cage. Alright, that's enough for today, he said, panting slightly. What? But that wasn't even an hour, Tsunade whined. Hashirama chuckled. Tsunade-chan, you have to remember I'm not as young and fit as I used to be, I'm already in my 60s, he said. Tsunade didn't like it, but she accepted it since he did have a point. Right, we're going to take a week's break before training again and then we have a month before you two start the academy, Hashirama said. Both Naruto and Tsunade looked surprised at this. How could I have forgotten the academy, the two thought. Well, Tsunade-chan, you can go to Naruto's house for a while since I have some business to attend to, he said and then shunshined away. Tsunade then started walking away, but Naruto grabbed her arm and harassed to Tsukiko's house. Tsukiko's house. Naruto and Tsunade appeared in a flash of light inside Naruto's bedroom. Tsunade at first wanted to scream at him, but she suddenly got really dizzy and nearly fell, but Naruto had caught her. Naruto was wondering why she was dizzy when he remembered that when people use the harassing for the first time usually feel nauseous. When Tsunade had regained her bearings she was about to yell, but Naruto covered her mouth. Sorry, that was my fault, but I wanted to test something, he said with a nervous smile. Tsunade looked at him confused. What do you mean you wanted to test something, she said. Naruto sat her down on his bed and went over to the windowsill and brought back a pot with a seed in it. Tsunade was now extremely confused. Why is he showing me this, she thought. Now, Tsunade, I want you to close your eyes and channel chakra into this, Naruto explained. Tsunade was still confused as to what he was trying to accomplish but closed her eyes and channeled her chakra into the seed. She suddenly jumped back when she felt something move. At first she thought it might have been a worm in the soil, but then she saw the seed. It's growing, she thought wide-eyed. Naruto smiled. So, she has already unlocked it. Not too bad, Tsunade-chan, Naruto thought, blushing slightly that he called her that in his mind. He then looked at Tsunade and smiled. Well, Tsunade-chan, it looks like you've unlocked the Mokuton, he said. Tsunade smiled and started cheering, saying things such as, I can't wait to tell Gigi, and, now people will see me as more than just the granddaughter of the Shodai Hokage. Naruto smiled at her. Great, now she sounds like Konohamaru, he thought. Sorry, that was my fault, but I wanted to test something, he said with a nervous smile. Tsunade looked at him confused. What do you mean you wanted to test something, she said. Naruto sat her down on his bed and went over to the windowsill and brought back a pot with a seed in it. Tsunade was now extremely confused. Why is he showing me this, she thought. Now Tsunade, I want you to close your eyes and channel your chakra into this, Naruto explained. Tsunade was still confused as to what he was trying to accomplish but closed her eyes and channeled her chakra into the seed. She jumped back when she felt something move. At first she thought it might have been a worm in the soil, but then she saw the seed. It's growing, she thought wide-eyed. Naruto smiled. So she's already unlocked it. Not too bad, Tsunade-chan, Naruto thought, blushing slightly that he called her that in his mind. He then looked at Tsunade and smiled. Well, Tsunade-chan, it looks like you've unlocked the Mokuton, he said. Tsunade smiled and started cheering things such as, I can't wait to tell Gigi, and, now people will see me as more than just the granddaughter of the Shodai Hokage. Naruto smiled at her. Great, now she sounds like Konohamaru, he thought. Now, 4 weeks later. Naruto was currently sparring with Tsunade, who even after 4 weeks was still excited about unlocking the Mokuton. At least she isn't being arrogant about it, Naruto thought as he ducked a punch. Since unlocking the Mokuton, Tsunade had been training harder and more frequently than usual, and when Naruto asked her about it she would just say, to prove myself. Naruto just needed to find out who she wanted to prove herself to. Although Hashirama hadn't trained her to use Mokuton that much, the girl was eager to learn and even to the library in the Senju compound to find it. She came out disappointed because since Hashirama was the only one to obtain it, her clan felt no real reason to write down how to perform them. When Naruto told her more about his dujutsu and that he would be able to use the Mokuton and all other elemental Kekkei Genkai including the paper release and yin-yang release, well, she was amazed at first, but she was even giddier when she realized that Naruto would be able to train with her. The two of them had been fighting for the past 2 hours, and while Tsunade was starting to pant, Naruto, being used to outrunning shinobi at this age, was still going strong, and although he was in a 4-year-old's body, he could still dodge and block extremely fast thanks to the swift release, something that Tsunade was getting frustrated about. Tsunade threw in a bad punch which Naruto caught and flipped her onto the ground. "Do you yield?" he said, smirking jokingly. Yeah, I yield," she grumbled. Naruto helped her up again, still smiling. "Still getting too frustrated, Tsunade-chan," he said, waving his finger at her. "It's hard not to get frustrated when I can't even hit you," she complained. "Yeah, but I've been trained in my mindscape as well," he pointed out. Tsunade just crossed her arms and grumbled something like, "Why can't I do that?" Naruto just laughed at her. "Come on, Tsunade-chan, we'll be starting the academy in a week," he said, trying to raise her spirits. Normally she would have been excited, but now she just said, "But you're going to be the only one who I can't beat." Now Tsunade-chan, you shouldn't underestimate anyone. After all, how do you think the Raikage feels? He said, chuckling. This made Tsunade laugh. Yeah, I suppose, imagine how he must feel. The third Raikage, beaten by a child not even in the academy, she said. They both laughed at this. Well, I better get back to my clan's compound. Ba-chan wanted to talk to me about something. See you tomorrow, Naruto, she said as she left. Naruto started walking back to his house. He considered Tsukiko like a sister and he really enjoyed the medic's company. Though she could be a little quieter, he thought. Lately Tsukiko had been rushing out of her bed and had been making a lot of noise and had been throwing up a lot. She just passed it off as food poisoning, but Naruto could see she thought something else was up. Tsukiko's house. Naruto entered the house too and went upstairs to find Tsukiko. He heard more throwing up. She must only be out of bed, he mused. Naruto knocked on the door. Hey Tsukiko, are you alright in there? He asked. Never better, Naruto, she replied before throwing up again. Naruto opened the door and saw her holding something in her hand. His eyes widened when he realized what it was. Tsukiko lifted her head to look at him and she smiled. In fact, I'm pregnant, she said happily before throwing up again. Naruto smiled. You're pregnant? That's great, Tsukiko-chan, he said excitedly. Well, I might be here for a while. I think there's some instant ramen in the cupboard, she said. Thanks, he replied. Wow, Tsukiko-chan is pregnant. This is definitely a surprise, he thought as he made his way downstairs. As he waited for his instant ramen to cook, he found himself wondering about Orochimaru and Jiraiya. What am I going to do with those two? He said to himself. I'll have to sort that out later, he concluded. 1 week later. With Tsunade. Tsunade woke up to her alarm clock ringing. At first she was wondering why she had said it so early when she remembered. I'm starting the academy with Naruto today, she thought excitedly. She practically jumped out of her bed and ran into the bathroom to get ready. She ran into the kitchen where her mother, Senju Moriko, was making her breakfast. Morning, Tsunade-chan, you're up early, Moriko said. Yeah, Ka-chan, I'm finally going to the academy with Naruto-kun, I can't wait, she said, only realizing what she said too late. So it's Naruto-kun now as Tsunade-chan, her mother said teasingly. Tsunade blushed furiously. Ka-chan, stop it, she stuttered. Okay, I'll stop, Moriko said, smiling at her daughter. She already has a crush on that boy. My little Haim is growing up faster than I can keep track of, she thought sadly, like any mother would. Well, Tsunade, here's your lunch. Well, since you're ready, Do you want to go? Moriko asked her daughter as she handed her a bag. Tsunade grabbed her bag and nodded. Well then, let's go, Moriko said, leading her daughter to the academy. With Naruto. Naruto woke up to his own alarm clock, only he grabbed it and threw it across the room. More years in the torture they call the academy, only this time I'll be bored because I know everything they teach there. Just great, Naruto thought as he got dressed. He was heading downstairs when he smelled Tsukiko's cooking. She's almost as good as old man Ichiraku, Naruto thought as he entered the kitchen. Tsukiko turned around with a plate of bacon, eggs and fried bread. Oh hi Naruto, I was just about to call you, she said as she put the plate on the table. Thanks Tsukiko-chan, this looks delicious, Naruto said. Well Naruto, I can say I feel sorry for you having to go back to the academy, Tsukiko said, chuckling as Naruto started shoving food down his throat. Don't remind me, sigh, at least I remembered to pack lunch last night, Naruto said, remembering the times he would go to the academy without lunch and his stomach grumbled. Tsukiko laughed. Oh come on, it was hardly that bad, she said. Tell that to a guy who eats 20 bowls of ramen a day when he gets the chance, Naruto replied. Tsukiko just laughed again. Come on, you don't want to keep Tsunade waiting like at the training ground, she said. Naruto groaned. No one is gonna let me live that down, he complained as he got a plain black bag and put it over his shoulders and left with Tsukiko. The academy. Tsunade was waiting outside of the academy for Naruto. He better not be late, she thought, starting to think of ways to torture him if he was late. Hey Tsunade-chan, she heard a voice call. Oh well, maybe next time, she thought, chuckling as she saw Naruto and Tsukiko walking towards her. Is this early enough for you? Naruto asked Tsunade mockingly. Sigh, I suppose, she answered. Naruto and Tsukiko just chuckled. Well then you two, Hokage-sama will be collecting you for training, so see you at 6 Naruto, Tsukiko said, leaving. See ya Tsukiko-chan, Naruto said with a fake smile while he frowned on the inside. Naruto was about to turn around, but Tsunade grabbed his arm and brought him to the courtyard behind the school where all the other kids were. Tsunade was looking around like any other child would, gleefully. She pulled Naruto again and brought him over to the swing set. You're very excited anyway, Naruto said, chuckling. Of course I am, we're starting the academy, she said happily while swinging. Naruto chuckled. She seems to forget that I'm only in the body of a 4-year-old, he thought. 10 minutes later they heard a bell ringing and proceeded to walk towards the academy doors. All returning students follow your teachers, the rest of you guys follow me, said one of the teachers. They were led to a classroom by the man, and Tsunade was as giddy as a child meanwhile was focusing on the teacher. I've seen someone like him before in my time, but where? He thought curiously. He was suddenly, and literally, pulled out of his thoughts as they had reached the classroom and were told to take a seat, and Tsunade had grabbed his arm and dragged him to one in the front row. Why the front row? Naruto complained. Because I'm actually going to listen to the teacher, Tsunade said, taking an edge seat, putting Naruto in the middle. Welcome class. First of all, this is the classroom that you are going to learn in for the next 5 years. The seats you are sitting in you will remain in for the rest of the current year, so you will get to sit with other people, the man said. Now my name is Yumino Daichi and I'll be your teacher for the next 5 years, the man now known as Daichi said. He's Iruka-sensei's grandfather. How many more surprises am in for? Naruto thought. Now, how about we get to know each other's names? We'll start with the oldest, so that would be you, Daichi said, pointing towards Naruto. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, he said. I thought Uzumaki normally had red hair, Daichi asked, confused. My father wasn't an Uzumaki, but he had the stronger genes, Naruto explained. Daichi seemed to accept this and continued to the next student. Now what's your name? He said, looking at a very pale kid beside Naruto. Orochimaru, the boy said. Naruto stiffened when he heard the name. He just had to sit beside me, he thought. Daichi continued to get the names of the rest of the students. It seems we're missing someone, and just as he said that, someone came crashing through the window. It's the gallant Jiraiya. Jiraiya said, didn't want to make him too much like his older self. You're late and for breaking the window, you can see me in detention Jiraiya, Daichi said, causing the whole class, except Orochimaru, Naruto and Tsunade, to laugh. Ah, come on sensei, Jiraiya complained. Just take a seat Jiraiya, Daichi said, annoyed. Alright class, quieten down, he said. When they didn't quieten down, a vein bulged in his head. I said be quiet, he shouted. Everyone went quiet and stared at the teacher nervously, except Orochimaru, Naruto and Tsunade, again. He then once again proceeded to get his students' names, and when Tsunade's turn came and she called her name out, everyone broke into whispers. Now that I've got your names, let's head out to the training ground to rank you guys, he said. Academy training ground. Alright class, this is my assistant, Takahashi Katsumi, and she will be sparring with you so we can evaluate your skill, Daichi said, introducing the girl. First up Akamichi Cho, he said, and continued through a long line of children till only Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Naruto and Tsunade were left. No, it didn't go in alphabetical order. Jiraiya was first up. Ready, Hajime, Daichi said, and Jiraiya sloppily charged Katsumi and started throwing wild punches and kicks. Katsumi quickly put him on the ground, kunai at his throat. Dobi, Orochimaru whispered just loud enough for Naruto to hear him. Jiraiya got up and started walking towards the stand, but he heard Naruto talk. You deceptive idiot, Naruto grumbled, smirking, and Jiraiya inwardly frowned. I can't even hide my true strength from him, he thought, annoyed. Orochimaru, Daichi said, and the boy got up, his face ever stoic. Ready, Hajime, Daichi said again, and Orochimaru fell into the standard academy stance and attacked. His punches were quick but not well timed, and just like the rest of the students, it didn't take long to put him on the ground, it just took a few seconds longer. He looked rather disappointed but accepted it, as from what he heard about her, the girl was a special jonin in taijutsu. Senju Tsunade, Daichi called out. Don't beat her too bad, I still have to have a go, Naruto whispered to her. Fine, Tsunade whispered, disappointed. Ready, Hajime, Daichi said, and Tsunade dropped into her grandfather's Senju stance that she had learned from him. She then attacked Katsumi with powerful punches that the woman couldn't dodge, but when blocked would weaken her arms. The other students were shocked that even though the girl was a Senju, that she was overpowering a woman more than twice her height. Eventually Tsunade knocked the girl down and held an academy kunai to her throat. Everyone but Naruto was surprised, and Katsumi was staring at the girl shocked. And Hokage-sama said she was the weaker of the two. I'm not going to enjoy this, she thought as she got up. Daichi was having the same thoughts but regained focus as the two got up. Winner. Tsunade, he exclaimed, still shocked. Uzumaki Naruto, he said, and Naruto got up and Katsumi stared at him. I've seen that face before, she thought warily. Ready, Hajime, Daichi said, and Naruto dropped into an unusual stance. Seeing everyone's confused faces, he smirked. Flashback. Naruto was training with Tsunade in taijutsu when his body dropped into an unfamiliar stance. What the hell is going on? Akira-chan, is that you? He thought. Yes, this is my fighting style as a human. I've implanted the katas in your head. Go on, give it a try, Akira said. Naruto started attacking Tsunade and he beat her easily since she didn't understand the style. The style confuses opponents with fast but powerful strikes and can easily be molded into other styles once you understand it, Akira explained to him. When Tsunade asked him what it was and he told her, she was pouting at, how unfair, you were using a style I've never seen before. Naruto just chuckled. Flashback end. Katsumi looked at him. I've never seen that style before, she said. Naruto smirked again. That's because I made it, he said, and took the opportunity to attack her while she was in shock. Katsumi, however, was able to block his first strike because of the way she had stepped back in shock and quickly launched him forward again. This kid really is no joke. He could easily kill me with a style like that if he wanted to, she thought. She was brought out of her thoughts when Naruto said, "Hin no jutsu," and forced her to dodge the attack. Daichi was angry at the boy for using a jutsu and was about to berate him when Katsumi spoke up. "Well, you're a smart kid anyway. The hin is classified as taijutsu and you used it to your advantage. I'm afraid I'm actually going to have to concede this battle," she said, much to Naruto's disappointment and everyone else's shock, except Tsunade, of course. Daichi once again was in a state of shock. This kid is something else, amazing, he thought. Winner Naruto, he said. Once Daichi was over his shock, he told the class to go back inside, but Katsumi walked over to Naruto and asked, "Okay, I'm almost certain I've seen you before, so tell who me are you?" Naruto gave her the bingo book that the page was marked on and gave it to her. At first she was confused and thought, maybe it's his dad I'm thinking of. When she opened it, she dropped the book. Naruto smiled at her. "You never really stood a chance," he said, picking the book up, and he walked inside. Katsumi followed him in, still in shock. "He's only 5 and he's an SS rank in the bingo book," she kept repeating in her head. The rest of the day went on uneventful. Beside the fact that both Naruto and Tsunade had earned a fan club each. "Why do I have to put up with these fanboys, girls?" Tsunade and Naruto thought as they were currently being stared at by every one of their classmates as they left the academy. "You two look like you had a fun day," Hashirama said, seeing all their classmates staring at them. "Well, come on. We have to go to a new training ground today as thanks to you two. Training ground 7 is under repair," he said, causing both to blush. And with that they left. Naruto got out of bed early to go to the academy and meet Tsunade early. Apparently Daichi and Katsumi had wanted to meet both of them, as well as Jiraiya and Orochimaru. Naruto had guessed this was the day they would be told they would be taking the graduation test this year, but he couldn't be certain. In the past year, Naruto had formed a rivalry and friendship with Orochimaru and Jiraiya, and the teamwork they had displayed when they fought against him and Tsunade had surprised him. The teachers noticed the teamwork between the four and had asked Hashirama to team them up against 4 Anbu members. The results were that as a team they worked better than what Naruto had told Hashirama about the Sannin, and he had told the 4 that they were probably going to be a 4-man squad when they graduate. Jiraiya, while he still wasn't into working with books, had improved to low chunin level when Naruto had taught him how to properly hide himself and fight in taijutsu. Orochimaru had at first been jealous that someone had been better than him, but when he saw the bingo book he had asked to train with Naruto. Naruto could see how eager the boy was to learn new jutsu, and when he asked him what his dream was, he answered the same as his older self would have, only not as creepily. Naruto then asked him to what length would he go to achieve that dream. Orochimaru was speechless, and Naruto had gotten him to give up on it. After half a year of trying to convince him, "I couldn't think of anything but this." He had just arrived at the academy when he was attacked by Tsunade. "What the hell did I do this time?" he asked her. "Oops, sorry. I'm looking for Jiraiya and I thought you were him," she said sheepishly. Naruto's eye twitched. "Does this hair look white to you?" he said. "Hey, he put a genjutsu on me," she retorted. Naruto was about to say something else when he heard a small snicker behind him in a bush. Naruto smirked and, at Jonin level speed, he disappeared and appeared behind the bush. He picked up the boy who had turned out to be Jiraiya. Hey Naruto, Jiraiya stuttered. "Hello Jiraiya, how are you?" Naruto said too sweetly for Jiraiya's liking. Fine, he stuttered again. "Good, because you won't be in a few minutes," Naruto said, grinning sadistically before throwing him in front of Tsunade. Jiraiya looked up to see Tsunade cracking her knuckles. Hey Tsunade, he said nervously. Tsunade grinned and stood him on his feet and then punched him back into the ground. "Tsunade, that hurt," Jiraiya complained while rubbing his head. "Well, you deserve it," Tsunade said, walking back towards the academy. So what did you do this time? Naruto asked, helping Jiraiya up. I tripped over a root and my hand slapped her butt, he said. Naruto looked at him and slapped the back of his head. I have a feeling that it was just the latter, he said. Jiraiya started mumbling something like, not fair, monstrous strength, can't beat them. Naruto just chuckled. Come on, we're needed inside, he said. When the two got inside, Tsunade glared at Jiraiya and Orochimaru was smirking. Daichi and Katsumi both cleared their throats, getting the four's attention. Now, we have called you four today because we believe that you are good enough to take the genin exams this year, Daichi said, surprising three of the four. Katsumi then stepped forward and handed a slip to each of them. This slip is for taking the test early, you only have to sign it if you want to partake, she said. Then the two senseis left the four to start preparing for their classes. Well, what do you guys think? Tsunade asked. We'll beat everyone, no problem, Jiraiya said carefree. You mean everyone will beat you, no problem, Naruto said. Tsunade and Orochimaru laughed at the comment. Well, Tsunade laughed while Orochimaru chuckled to himself. Jiraiya was about to say something back, but Tsunade cut him to it. I think we should do it. I mean, it's not like we can get much more training from the academy. I agree, although, they're going to have a hard time finding a sensei to teach us, Naruto joked. Well then, it's settled, Orochimaru said stoically, and the four signed their names. Genin exams day. Tsunade and Naruto were out on the training ground sparring. Tsunade's taijutsu had vastly improved since she entered the academy. She still only got a hit or two when Naruto used his swift release to annoy her, but other than that she made up for it with her determination. She has nearly mastered her water affinity thanks to her grand uncle teaching her how to use it, and her mother and grandfather had helped her along with her earth affinity. Her fire affinity was still weaker than she would have liked, but she could do most C rank and even a few B rank jutsu with it. She even improved the Mokuton. Tsunade, however, was extremely excited lately, not only because she would be a genin soon, but she would have a little brother in a few weeks according to her mother, and she had been really excited. Naruto had managed to learn more about not only the Mokuton and about Tsunade's monstrous strength, but he also managed to collaborate earth, fire and wind to recreate the dust release. When he first started learning it, he wondered how Mu and Onoki had managed to find the chakra to even do one technique, as even he had felt the incredible amount of chakra that the techniques needed, but he then realized after studying them from the books in the library he had found that all he needed was good chakra control, something he had gotten better at thanks to Tsunade. When Tsukiko had her child, Naruto was happy for her, and he was even happier for her when he found out that she had fraternal twins. He had been so caught up in training he had never asked her about them. The only thing that confused him was that he had never heard of Anko having an aunt, but he put it down to his presence in the past. He had come to terms with the fact that this was now his timeline. Whenever he looked at Tsunade, he had a harder time seeing his Ba-chan. Even looking at Orochimaru, he could no longer see the jutsu-crazed pedophile but a friend, something that he would have never thought possible before. He still saw his godfather in Jiraiya, but this Jiraiya wasn't always depressed or worried about something. Naruto was about to finish Tsunade when the bell rang. You got lucky this time, Su-chan, Naruto said smiling, and the two proceeded to walk toward the academy. They met up with Orochimaru and Jiraiya at the exam room entrance and walked in. Very few students stared, as most of the village knew who the four were. Only the more stuck-up students like the Hyuga and Uchiha clan members who just stared in jealousy. Katsumi walked in with another Chunin, both their hands holding stacks of paper. Everyone, please take a seat, Katsumi said. Naruto and Tsunade sat down together. Tsunade had grown quite close to Naruto since the boy had originally saved her from the wreckage. Naruto was just glad that she hadn't become a fangirl, but he did admit he had grown to love Tsunade. You may start your exam now, Katsumi said. Naruto and Tsunade flipped over the test and both smirked. The two started answering the questions with ease, and Naruto could see that Orochimaru and Jiraiya were answering them easily too. Jiraiya had a shocked face as to how easy the questions were to answer, while Orochimaru's face was impassive. The four of them finished the exam relatively quickly, not to anyone's surprise. Alright, pens down, Katsumi said. Anyone who hadn't finished sighed and put down their pens disappointedly. Everyone outside to the training grounds, Katsumi said, collecting up the papers. Everyone walked outside nervously, as the last thing they wanted was to fight Naruto or Tsunade. Katsumi walked up to the students. First up, Katamaru Kichiro versus Uzumaki Naruto. She called, I'll only be doing Naruto's, Tsunade's, Jiraiya's and Orochimaru's matches. Naruto walked up towards Katsumi with Kichiro, who looked like he was about to throw up. Ready, Hajime, Katsumi said. Kichiro almost immediately had to block an attack from Naruto. He didn't last long, as Naruto's speed far outmatched everyone in Konoha. Winner, Naruto, Katsumi said. This continued until there were only 8 left. Uzumaki Naruto versus Uchiha Masaru, Katsumi said. Both of them stepped up. Ready, Hajime. You might as well give up now, loser. You don't stand a chance against an Uchiha, Masaru said, smirking arrogantly. Why don't shut up and fight Tem? Naruto said in a bored tone. Masaru got a thick mark on his forehead. I'll make you pay for that insult, Dobi, he said, and he charged Naruto. Naruto simply sidestepped and held his knee up for the Uchiha to rush into. The shocked face on Masaru made Naruto grin. Masaru doubled over in pain, gasping for wind. What was that about not being able to beat you? Naruto asked innocently. Masaru shakily stood up. Shut you up, Dobi, he said angrily. Naruto sighed at the Uchiha. Maybe if you weren't so arrogant, you'd be a better shinobi, Naruto said, looking down at the Uchiha. The Uchiha stared at him in anger. I said shut up, Dobi, he shouted, and he turned to punch him. Naruto caught the punch easily and put his arm behind his back and put a kunai to his throat. Give up. Any movement and you'll slit your throat, Naruto said coldly. Katsumi didn't give him a chance to answer and declared Naruto the winner. Eventually Naruto had beaten Tsunade and Orochimaru. Alright, everyone back inside for the jutsu exam, Katsumi said. The students walked back inside, glad that the worst part of the exam was over. Katsumi sighed as she walked back in. He just couldn't at least give them a chance to win, tch typical Naruto, she thought. First up, Akamichi Susumu, she called out. Again this continued till Naruto, Tsunade, Orochimaru and Jiraiya were left. Next up, Jiraiya, she said, and Jiraiya walked into the room. Alright Jiraiya, first do the kawarimi, she said, and Jiraiya swapped with a nearby chair. Okay, now use henge, she said, and this time Jiraiya transformed into Katsumi. Katsumi's eye twitched because the cloths Jiraiya had were not anything like hers, in fact he made her look more like a stripper. I'll accept it, but do it again and you'll find yourself in the hospital. Now do the Bushin no Jutsu, she said. Jiraiya then smirked. Kage Bushin no Jutsu, he said, and a single shadow clone appeared next to him. While this was no surprise to Katsumi, the Chunin was shocked. And Katsumi told me that this boy is the weakest of the 4, he thought in shock. Note the Chunin was not outside for the taijutsu. Alright. Now is there any jutsu you'd like to do to earn extra credits, she asked him. Jiraiya nodded and started going through hand seals at a speed which the Chunin was again shocked at. Hari. Jizo, he said, and his hair started growing all around his body. Okay. Send in Orochimaru on your way out, Katsumi said as Jiraiya's hair reverted back to normal. The Chunin looked at Katsumi like she was mad. That kid just performed a B-rank jutsu, how can you just send him out like it was nothing, the Chunin asked when Jiraiya exited. Katsumi looked at him and smirked, because, it's just like I told you, Jiraiya is the weakest. If you're shocked at that, wait till you see Naruto, she said. The Chunin looked at her shocked and thought, This team could really become the stuff of legend. Orochimaru entered and Katsumi asked him to do the 3 jutsu and an extra jutsu, and like Jiraiya he performed the 3 jutsu and sweeten Teppadama from the water in a water cooler nearby. Okay. Send in Tsunade on your way out, she said to him. Tsunade came in with a smile towards the Chunin that promised shock. Tsunade had performed the 3 jutsu easily, but when she was asked to do another jutsu for extra credit, could we go outside to do the rest? Naruto and I have a big jutsu each we wish to present, she said. Katsumi sighed. They just couldn't even act normal for this part of the test, she thought. Fine, but since you're so keen we might as well bring in Naruto first and then go outside, she said, walking over to the door. Naruto, could you come in here for a second? She asked him. Naruto then walked in. Alright, whatever you have planned, let's get this over with, she said. Naruto nodded and then performed the 3 jutsu, only unlike Tsunade, Jiraiya and Orochimaru he did his without hand signs. The Chunin was amazed at this. I can see why he is the strongest of the 4, the kid must be a genius to perform a jutsu without any hand seals, he thought. Okay, let's get this over with, Katsumi said, walking out the door. The rest of the students followed suit. Okay Tsunade, you're up first, Katsumi said. Tsunade smirked. Mokuton Mukujoheiki, she said, and a small dome of wood started to form from wood pillars coming from the ground and joined in the center. All the students as well as the Chunin's eyes widened when they saw that Tsunade had inherited the Mokuton, even Katsumi was mildly surprised. Okay, now Naruto, Katsumi said. Naruto stepped up to the dome of wood and held his hand out. He started to form a Rasengan in his hand and he almost laughed at the look on everyone's faces. He then pushed the Rasengan into the dome. Everyone but Tsunade thought he had gone mad. The jutsu looked powerful, but surely it couldn't even scratch the special wood of the Mokuton was what was on all their minds. They were even more shocked to see that it not only scratched it but it started to tear the wood to pieces. When Naruto ended the jutsu for everyone to see what the damage was, they saw the warping crater in the wood. He saw that all but Tsunade's jaw was hanging wide open. Naruto, where on earth did you learn that jutsu? Katsumi said, wide-eyed. Naruto smirked. I created it, he said, shocking everyone even further. Masaru snarled. Yeah right Dobi, I bet you're just trying to take the credit from someone else, he said, with a lot of his fangirls agreeing. Naruto smirked. I'm not lying. I created this jutsu after reading a description of a Bijudama, and I only managed to make this technique thanks to my chakra control because it is pure chakra manipulation, he said. Katsumi was even more surprised by this. Even after a year with you Naruto, you still managed to surprise me, she thought. Everyone walked back inside wide-eyed and their mouths agape. First of all, the top 5 are in 5th Uchiha Masaru, 4th place is Jiraiya, 3rd place Orochimaru, 2nd place Senju Tsunade, and Rookie of the Year Uzumaki Naruto, and finally Kunoichi of the Year is Senju Tsunade, Katsumi said, smiling inwardly. We wish you the best of luck. Come back tomorrow to be placed on a team, she said. Masaru was angered that he was only 5th but kept his mouth shut. Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Tsunade and Naruto were smiling when they saw Masaru's face. Naruto was happy with seeing Masaru's face, but there was something bugging him. Why does he look so familiar? It's almost as if he looks like someone I know, but the only Uchiha I know my age is Sasuke, Naruto thought. The next morning, Naruto was walking downstairs to get his breakfast when he saw Tsukiko burping the twins. Morning, he said. How are you able to sleep through their crying? Yun, it's torture getting up at 2 in the morning, Tsukiko said tiredly. Naruto smirked. Because I place reverse silencing seals on all 4 corners of my room, you could blow the place up and I wouldn't awake, he said. By the way, have you chosen names yet? He asked curiously. Actually no, I'm guessing Tsunade didn't tell you, but she wanted to help with the naming since she didn't get much of a chance with Naoki, who was born about a month or 2 before the twins. Naruto of course was surprised by this. But we have been able to narrow it down to Amaterasu and Madoka for the girl and Katsuro and Kin for the boy, she said smiling. Well, you're right about me not knowing about Tsunade-chan picking the names, but really I'm just happy seeing everyone else happy. Maybe the war won't be as bad as the one in my time, Naruto said hopefully. Well, I'm off to the academy, see you later, Naruto said leaving. At the academy, Naruto entered the academy to be placed on a team when a thought just hit him. Hashirama-sensei never told me exactly who our sensei would be. The feeling was nagging at him for who their sensei would be, but he would find out soon anyway. He entered his classroom for what he hoped would be the last time. He walked up and sat down beside Tsunade. Morning Naruto-kun, Tsunade said. Oh, so it's Naruto-kun, is it Tsunade-chan? Naruto teased. Tsunade blushed slightly when she realized she called him kun, but she secretly liked his little teasings. Hey Naruto, Jiraiya said behind him. Naruto looked at him before turning to Tsunade. Hey Tsunade-chan, did you hear something? Because I could have sworn I heard something, he said, making Tsunade laugh, and Jiraiya grew a tick mark. Heh, that's the sound of a pervert, Naruto, Orochimaru said, walking up to the three. I'm not a pervert. I'm a super pervert, Jiraiya retorted. Katsumi walked in at that point with the still unnamed Chunin. Everyone please take your seats, Katsumi said. Team 1. She started, continuing through the unimportant. Quote, comma. Team 7 is a special team, so I'll announce that last. Team 8 is Uchiha Masaru, Nara Hisashi and Tatsumaka Minori. Your sensei will be Yamanaka Hana. Team 9 is Inuzuka Norio, Hyuga Ryu and Aburame Katona. Your sensei will be Kurama Shoichi. Now as for Team 7, it is made up of 4 of the top classes and as such Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Senju Tsunade and Uzumaki Naruto are to go to the Hokage Tower to meet their sensei. The rest of you are to wait here till your senseis arrive, she said before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Gigi just loves to make us work, Tsunade grumbled. Well, who said we can't keep him waiting? Naruto said. I said so. Now come on, Tsunade said, walking out the door. Hokage Tower. Hashirama, Tobirama and Tobirama's student Sarutobi Hiruzen were waiting in the Hokage Tower for Team 7 to arrive. I will be calling them that when using all their names. Hiruzen was skeptic on the thought that his predecessors were willing to try this, but when he asked why, the two just smirked at him. The doors burst open suddenly when Jiraiya was sent through them. I'm going to kill you this time, pervert, they heard. Tsunade burst through the rubble and was about to pummel Jiraiya into the ground when, to Hiruzen's surprise, her hand was stopped by Naruto, who had used the Hiraishin to get there. Now Tsunade-chan, there is no need to kill him, especially in front of your grandfather, he said. Tsunade just grumbled something about a lucky pervert, before releasing her arm from Naruto's grip. Orochimaru entered the room. Has she killed him yet? He said, snickering. Now Hiruzen was extremely confused. How the hell is this team meant to work together, he thought. When Jiraiya managed to pick himself up, Hashirama decided to speak up. Well, now that your little incident is over with, maybe we can continue, he said. So who exactly is our sensei? Naruto asked curiously. Hashirama smirked. Well, as the top students of the class, you will have more than one, he said. Naruto was confused at this. If we're going to have more than one sensei and the look on his face is anything to go by, then that must mean, he didn't get to finish that thought when Hashirama spoke again. Your senseis shall be all 3 of us, he said, shocking them. Well, this is an interesting turn of events, Naruto thought.